Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm BJ, this is Brickhouse Builds, and in this video we're assembling these GS550 carbs for that free GS550 I got. Link here if you haven't seen that video. Anyway, this one should be pretty good. I try to pack a lot of information in this, so stick around, and I hope you guys find it, well, maybe not entertaining, but at least informative. Alright guys, it is time to start throwing these carbs back together, and before I do that I need to actually clean up some of the smaller detail components and jets and whatnot. So what I have done is I've kind of broke everything out onto my standard shop towel desk here, and that just makes things a little less likely to roll away. Kind of breaking the components down, we have like miscellaneous brackets, you have your floats, you have some brass, the needles, things like that. And there's different ways of cleaning all of it. So as as kind of a recap, some of the things that we're going to replace are the float needle seats here. You can see, well, probably can't see, but to get this one out, I did chew it up a bit. So I went ahead and I got 4 new K&L needle seats, needles and seats I should say. That's part number 18-4653, and I'll link those below. I also went ahead and got 4 new float bowl gaskets. I got 4 rubber plugs for the that cover the pilot jets. And before I tore these apart, I went ahead and I did get 4 needle seat filters. That's these guys right here. I didn't know I was going to end up ordering the needle seats, so I'll have 4 extras, and then whatever good ones I get off of these, which is what looks to be possibly even all of them. So I'll put those in the part stash and we'll go from there. We'll use them another day. And yeah, other than that, I got some intake manifolds for this thing. I feel bad, I did get these off Amazon. That's usually not my style, but man, they were like 45 bucks for 4 of them versus like 50 bucks for 1 of them from Suzuki. Man, 9 times out of 10 I'm ordering the Suzuki part, but it's my bike, whatever. We went the cheap route on this one. Anyway, I'm gonna have to clean everything. So what I have going is the ultrasonic cleaner is heating up. I'm gonna run a lot of these components through it first, and then air dry them. And then I might take some of these brackets with more intricate components. I might put those in the soda blaster. Those will clean up real quick. And then for the brass, what I've been doing is I use actually muriatic acid. Now this stuff is dangerous. You know, maybe I'm a little lax on some safety stuff with this. I keep it outside. Anytime I'm near it, I have a respirator on. Absolutely wear gloves, like maybe even double up the gloves. It's nasty stuff, but it actually cleans up the brass really well. I was turned on to it from another motorcycle friend of mine. It seems to work well. And don't put any like aluminum or anything like that in there, it'll disappear. But yeah, for brass, works great. So between some elbow grease and muriatic acid and air compressor, soda blaster, and then the ultrasonic cleaner, we're going to get this all cleaned up. So anyway, time for me to get started. Alright, so first thing, we're going to need a urine sample. Little Austin Powers joke, sorry. No, we're getting ready to do the brass in this little container here. Use plastic and then fill it with a little bit of the muriatic acid. And I'm going to go ahead and put on my respirator. I've got some gloves on already, and then some safety glasses. But we'll put this in here and it should clean it up. It will probably take a little bit of cleanup when I'm done. Now, I'm not expecting miracles with the main jets here. These are like barnacles at this point. These things are nasty. And main jets are easy enough just to get. I already have to get 2 pilot jets because 2 of them, if you remember, stripped when they came out or when I tried to take them out. So I had to easy out them. So those are ruined. So not a big deal, but this is just more of an experiment to see if I can bring these back. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and gear up and get this going. I've already gone and I've cleaned everything up. I'm still working on little bits and pieces here and there, but for the most part, we're looking pretty good. I've also got some air jets. We'll go ahead and put these in here too. Brass is brass. Another thing that's crazy about this muriatic acid is if you leave any metal near it, it rusts. This stuff is nasty. All safe. Everything's redlined. Don't you forget those tapes now. Yeah, still smells in here. I'm gonna go ahead and run the exhaust fan. Alright guys, wanted to show what I have going on here. Everything's just kind of spread out, being cleaned individually here. I've got the main jet emulsion tubes cleaned up. You saw I've been doing the muriatic acid, so cleans it okay, and then I take a little Scotch-Brite to them just to brighten them up a little bit. But inside, they're very clear. I did run a brush through them, but even before that, they were very clear, and all the holes cleared up. So that's one thing you want to look for, being able to see through those. And then, to my surprise, they actually the pilot jets, 2 of them, the 2 that didn't break, actually cleaned up really well. And I haven't touched these. They were just straight out of the muriatic acid, and then with some with a little work on with a toothbrush. But you can actually see through that, which was really impressive. Usually I always have to clean those out. But yeah, getting the carb bodies finalized here, and then first up will be the main jet needles, or I mean the float needles, I should say. And then from there, we'll just start putting this thing together. Alright, so to get started on the assembly of these carbs, I'm going to go ahead and just do the choke actuator, just because. And then I'm going to put just the teeniest little bit of WD in each hole. Spring on, then our seal. Tight, but not anything crazy here. All right, and then from here, you can start feeding the detent rod through. And our pointed end is going to go towards the right side. Just start feeding that through. I'm going to pull it a little bit past here. I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit of like grease or lube on here just so it doesn't go on the aluminum. I'm going to use just the slightest little amount of lithium. Just a tiny layer. That'll just make choke actuation a lot easier. Not even really probably needed, but we're going to do it anyway. And then if you remember, there's a detent right here. That's what we're looking for at this moment. We're going to line everything up with those detents. You start snugging one down, it should kind of capture itself, you know. Snug that down. Once you get the first one, it kind of lines up the rest of them. That's snug. And that's snug. So from here, tested it, works good. All right, from here I'm going to go ahead and start on the needle seats. So as I've shown here before, we have our K&L needles, needle seats, and they come with the pre-filter on them and a new O-ring. So as of right now, I'm going to go ahead and leave the needles out because those are just going to fall out otherwise. So I'm just going to put them back in my bag here. I'm just going to put a touch of some lubricant right there. Touch the O-ring. Wiggle and push. And that one's in. From there, you have the retainer. It goes like that. And your retainer, so to speak, the retainer screw. Okay, that one's in. Again, lubricate the O-ring. Wiggle and push. There's that. And done. All right, time to go ahead and put back in the mixture screws here. So if you remember, these were 2 1/8 turns out. Go and put a little silicone spray down here. Drop little O-rings in there. Kind of pre-lube those. Here's how we do it. Got the fuel screw, and you got the spring, and you got a little washer, and then you've got the O-ring. Just like that. Set that in there, and then we'll adjust. And again, needle, spring, washer, and O-ring. Whoop. And drop it on the floor. And drop it in. Turning this in until it seats. Right there. Now we're going to count the flats and back it out 2 1/8. Half, 1, 1 1/2, 2, 2 1/8. So that one's adjusted. We're just going to repeat the process for the rest of them. And just remember, whenever you go to seat it, don't crank down on it. You don't want to break that needle. Just take your time. Alright, seat's right there. Half, 1, 1 1/2, 2, 2 1/8. Half, 1, 1 1/2, 2, 2 1/8. Alright, next order of business on the carb assembly is going to be getting the main jet emulsion tubes in the carbs, along with the seating washer and then the actual main jet itself. So these are going to go in through the top. There's an alignment pin or an alignment guide right there. There's a pin inside the carb, so these only should go one way. And then once they're down, this washer and jet actually hold it up into the carb. But you'll see what I'm talking about here. As far as how I clean those, these mains actually were really nasty. I'm not sure if they're going to give me any trouble right now because they were so nasty. I did have to kind of pick at them a little bit, so there could potentially be like a little scar on them or something like that. But between the muriatic acid and then some heat, a little bit of Scotch-Brite, just brightening them up, they all came back really well. So I'm going to try a different method next time I have a really gummy set of jets just to play around with. But this worked really well for now. I'm confident in them. Like I said, with the mains, there's just like a little, there could be a little hang up on one of them, but not too big of a deal. Again, my bike, so at the end of the season, probably going to make some changes anyway. So, all right, let's get started. All right, it's time to go ahead and put this this emulsion tube in. You can see the alignment pin down here, that little groove. That corresponds with that pin right there inside this tube, you can see. So, we know that we have to face this in that direction. There's a little opening right there. That's going to face towards the inside of the bike or towards the engine side. Grab this carefully. And that didn't take hardly any force, and it shouldn't if you have it in there correctly. As you can see on the bottom here, from here, we have our washer. And very carefully, we're going to start the main jet. And that's drawing that emulsion tube down towards the jet itself. Get a good crank on that, not too crazy. And that one's done. Let's do the rest. All right, now to show you the assembly for the actual slide needles themselves. So you have the needle, the spring, little bushing for the top, a washer or spacer, and then your clip. So this one, this particular needle being factory, it only has one groove. Some needles will have multiple grooves, and that way you can change the needle height. For this one, we only have one option. So that's where we're going to go. Get that pushed on there. So it's clipped. You know, the little bushing goes on top. Just like that. Washer on the bottom of the clip. Spring right there. All right, assembling the slide here. See, we got a few alignment grooves in there. Those correspond with the alignment tabs on here. See, they're a little offset. So that's going to seat that way. All right, carefully, you have the needle assembly. Put that in there through the center. I'm going to hold that down with my hand. Again, we remember the alignment on this. And then now, we have our C-clip. All right, you can see that's in there. Now the test is that the needle can actually move. So I'm going to go ahead and mess with this a little bit more and make sure it sits square, which it looks like it does. Pretty square. Just make sure this is sitting in here exactly how it should be. Yep. I think we're good. All right, now that we have the slides assembled, it's time to go ahead and insert them into the carbs. So again, I'm just going to keep using this lubricant here. It's probably not necessary, just something I've always done. Notice there's a little tab that hangs off right there. On that side, that's the alignment for that little slot. One thing I noticed with this set of carbs is it has two shiny covers and two not so shiny covers. Same with the bowls. And those went on the outside just to make it look a little bit better. I thought that was funny. I've been finding that holding the slide up and extending the diaphragm downwards has, I don't know, it's made it easier for me to try to get these caps on here without that jumping around too much. There we go. Perfect. All right, time to go ahead and put the floats in. So, I'm going to save this one for last because obviously we snapped that one. But, we'll go ahead and get the rest of them in. Drop in our needle. Do this for the first 3. Float. There's one. Let's test fit the bowls. All right. And last but not least, all right. All right, guys, so I have been waiting on some parts, so it's a new day. Finally got them. I was missing some float bowl gaskets. I actually ordered the wrong ones. It happens. But new float bowl gaskets, and then I went ahead and I got some new pilot jets here. So anyway, the final step, let's go ahead and get this thing assembled. All right, so first up, we're gonna go ahead and get these pilot jets in. I went ahead and I ordered actual Mikuni brand. These are just going to work better. And this type of jet, it's a BS30/96, and they're 40s. And I'll show you, these things have as many different versions, but you can see there's 6 holes right here. But there's 6 holes versus 8. So you need to make sure you confirm which ones you're getting here, because there is a difference. Anyway, let's go ahead and assemble these things. So easy enough. Just drop your jets in, and then we will get them tightened up. Get them seated. You don't have to crank down on them or anything. Alright, and then from here, we have the 4 rubber plugs. That's these guys. You just go over the top. Press. And done. Alright, final piece of the puzzle here, or one of the final pieces, new float bowl gaskets. Pay attention to where the cutouts are for the little passages. These should only fit one way, but just in case for any carb, just want to make sure they're correct. These are also K&L brand, 18, 26, 12, but I will link them below, just like I try to do with everything. And then I did already measure the float height. I confirmed them for all 4 carbs. And you're measuring from, without the gasket, you're measuring from the surface of the carb here to the top of the float, to the highest point. So these are within spec. As of now, get the bowls set on here. These are gonna seem like they're hanging just a little bit because you're pressing on that little rubber plug we put in. Confirm that you're lined up. Alright, next up is the drain screws here. Now I went ahead and I just put these little rubber O-rings in some gas just to try to soften them up a little bit. These are one thing I didn't replace. So just trying to give them a good shot at sealing. Alright, lastly, we have the idle screw. I have it assembled, spring, washer, and then the screw itself. One bowl screw out. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started here. And I'm going to screw this in until it just touches the throttle blade. And then from there I know that I can start the bike and then just go upward instead of potentially starting too high. We're compressing the spring. Right there, that's exactly right where it touches the throttle blade. Alright guys, that does it for the GS550 carb assembly. As of now, I'm really excited because I'm going to go pick up the bike, hopefully get these things on there, and then work this weekend to hopefully get that bike started. So anyway, I know this is a longer video, just like the disassembly video, because I wanted to show as much detail as I could. And that's also why I used a lot of cell phone footage. So let me know what you guys think of the cell phone footage, more close-up shots, detail things, instead of, say, the GoPro footage. So anyway, I hope that these videos were helpful, and let me know if you guys have any questions. Be sure to check the links below for sources of these parts, the different things I've used, and yeah, just keep watching. So anyway, I appreciate you sticking with it this long, and I hope to see you in the next video.